There's somehow this misconception around tax time that if you don't get your forms in on time, that something terrible is going to happen, and that's actually not true. Tax day this year for 2012 is April 17th. We have a couple extra days because of a holiday in Washington, D.C. If for some reason you can't get your tax returns in on time, it's not the end of the world. You can apply for an extension, and nowadays you don't even have to give the IRS a reason. It could be that you're overworked, overtired, don't have your tax forms, could be anything, and you don't have to have a reason. You can request an automatic extension. You can do that either by filing a form in the mail, or you can request it online at IRS, and there's even a phone procedure now that you can use, and the instructions are on the IRS website, where you can just call in and make a payment if applicable. What you need to worry about is not so much not filing on time, because as long as you get that extension in, you're fine. But you have to keep in mind that an extension is an extension of the time to file and not the time to pay. If you still owe money when it's time to file that return after your extension, you may be subject to penalty and interest if you haven't paid enough. So if you think you're going to owe come tax time, make a payment with that extension. If you're not going to owe, you don't have to worry about it, just get the extension. And also keep in mind that if you're due a refund, the IRS will not impose any kind of penalty on your failure to pay. But again, make sure you either get your forms in on time or request an extension on time and make a payment if you need to. If you don't have the money to pay, again, it's not necessarily the end of the world. The IRS wants you to pay, and they want you to pay on time. IRS also understands that things happen. My advice is you pay as much as you can, and you contact the IRS, because the IRS will be amenable to an installment agreement. This doesn't mean that you're not necessarily going to be hit with the lien. If the amount is high enough, the IRS could lien you to protect their interests. And yes, they are going to charge you a little bit of interest, because nobody gets a free ride. But you want to make sure that you keep in communication with the IRS, because you don't want to just run from it or hide from it because you don't have the means to pay. You pay what you can, and you get on a schedule to pay what you need to pay. And then next year, be proactive in your planning so that you don't run into the same situation. A lot of times people actually end up paying because they didn't plan for something that was going to be a continuing obligation. A lot of self-employed people don't anticipate that they're going to owe self-employment tax, for example, and so they don't make payments during the year. If you find that you owe in a big lump sum this year with the IRS and you weren't anticipating doing that, consider making estimated payments next year so that you don't have one big hit all at tax time.